We've got less than 1 year left of the current partnership between the federal government and the states and territories against homelessness, and we know that our region, and Tweed in particular, because of its growth, has a very high level, much higher than the states, of homelessness. I'm wanting to know which parties would commit to a further 4 years of funding for that partnership with the states and territories against homelessness.
Okay, I might start with Matthew on that one.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Trish. I've been around to, of course, I was telling you, running into homeless people, and making connections with them. I think there's a bigger, better sort of policy here that could be implemented. This is not a National Party policy, but it's about addressing homelessness. There was a lady I ran into at the bus stop recently, and she said she can't afford to get into a residential home simply so she can afford it, but they won't let her through for she's got too many kids or whatever it is. So she's living out of a hotel, and it's costing her about $600-700 a week, which was outrageous. But what I think would be a good practical measure is the same as what the ADF do with their defence housing. So a private investor buys the home, and then the defence then lease that to the defence housing. So basically it means that the government doesn't have to tie up large sums of capital in buying up residential homes. They simply take over the lease, and then they can put something in the home, and they can then subsidise the rent. And the key thing is there that you're getting more people in homes, and you're also not tying up capital from the government. So as to the 4-year commitment, I can't specify on exactly the 4 years. I'm not sure with that particular policy the 4 years can be committed to. But I'm happy to follow up for you if you like.
Thanks for that. Justine,
the short answer to your question is yes, and that's something we'd be aspiring to. I mean, when we came into government in 2007, you will remember Kevin Rudd made a lot of statements about addressing homelessness and how important it was. And the federal government had not played a role in this area before, either in terms of the funding initiatives or a direct involvement with it. So we set up the co-op groups, and we had the white papers. And we followed through with that funding, and I mentioned some of that before. $16 million in terms of addressing social housing needs have come just to this area. Again, obviously that does go to the state government and then make determinations about where that money is spent. And I know there are some issues that have been raised with me in terms of that on many occasions, but we made sure we got that $16 million here. Also, affordable housing has been something else we've been very keen on. The $8 million coming here to the 100 Hills estate makes it a lot more easier for people to address some of their housing needs. And what happens there is that $8 million goes to council for head work, so the developer can offer houses at a slightly cheaper rate, 30% off in terms of the house and 30% off in terms of the rentals that are available. It is quite a complicated plan, but it was our way of addressing some of those needs that are there, because we know how difficult it is for people to get into those housing markets. I think there's still a lot more that can be done within that space. That's why, as a federal government, we're the ones who initiated being involved in the whole issue surrounding homelessness and what we can do. And I'd like to see us working more with the states and indeed with councils as well, because I think it's something that we all have a responsibility for, and it's something we've always been in the front foot of in terms of involving the federal government and having a role in it.
Thanks. Phil?
There is a significant housing shortage in Australia. It's very significant, and nothing is really being done to stimulate the housing sector effectively. One of the policies that we have announced is we will make the first $10,000 of everybody's home loan, that's everybody's home loan, so it's not discriminatory, everybody's home loan, the first $10,000 tax deductible. That in itself will have a general effect of stimulating the construction industry, bringing on new homes, and allow young people to get into their homes earlier, because the key to this is having your own home. If you can have your own home, that gives you the security, and you have your own home. As far as addressing homelessness in the short term is concerned, I can't commit to anything because I really don't know enough about the current scheme. I'd like to know more, and given the policies of our party, I suspect that it will be something we would support very strongly.
Kevin?
Yes, homelessness is something that was touched on last night, and once again I'd like to thank Justine's government for the assistance they gave Tweed Shire Council in the completion of the community centre in Wollongbar. The model of that building is a model that Tweed Shire Council is quite proud of, and I can tell you that as an ex-councillor, we're quite proud of that model because it understands and it approaches the problem from many, many different angles. It gives the person the opportunity to go and knock on the door with an open door policy where they can be assessed for numerous different problems that exist. And the person that can handle those problems will be there to talk to them at that time. When this is functioning properly, it's a model that needs to be spread right throughout this entire region of Richmond and right throughout, and take in the people of Tugun that originally started the first homeless operation here in Tweed Shire, a motel in Tugun. I can't even think of the name of the damn thing, but that's where our homeless operation actually started, in Tweed Shire, in Queensland. But homelessness knows no border. We need to do things to address it. Affordable housing is only one step in a direction. But as long as you believe that these people that come to this area, if they come here as homeless, you've got to understand that their cousins or their brothers or their sisters or there's someone else that they're related to may come from another area. Assimilation into the community or assimilation back to their own family. All of these things need to be considered in a homeless environment to try and help. But first and foremost, they need a safe environment to come to where they can talk and meet and shower and eat and then dress and change and go on with their movement. But they need to be registered to be able to get unemployment. They've got no fixed address. There's all of these problems, and they're all intermingled. They need this model that's been built in Wollongbar needs to be replicated in Pottsville. It needs to be replicated centrally here, right in Tweed Heads, as a matter of urgency. And the federal government, I'm sure the present one in power is one government that has supported it. Who supports it the next time? If I'm in there, I'll be fighting to make sure that they support that extension of that same model.
Thanks for that, Kevin. Dawn, yours.
Look, I'm really, very pleased that this is an issue that we are talking about and it's being spoken about more and more in our community, because I think for a long time it's been seen as all surf, sun and tourism. And these real social issues in the wider community haven't really been recognised. And through the work of the community centre and what Kevin's speaking about in council, these issues have become more widely understood. But they're always multifaceted, and one of the issues, of course, is New Start, with that being below the poverty line. That exacerbates those sorts of social problems that we have here. In terms of the Greens policy on homelessness, we do have a homelessness action plan, which is to provide an emergency package to build 7,000 new homes by 2020, to include a 50% target of prefab housing and to double the current funding for specialist homelessness services in Australia. So the Greens are a party that take homelessness very, very seriously, and are looking, when I was talking about getting the money in and taking it out again, homelessness is one of the major issues that the Greens are very concerned to resource properly.
Thanks very much, Dawn. Any other questions from the floor?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay.
I don't overdo it.
Okay.
And this is it. Can I ask a general question?